What's not okay, though, is lacking integrity. What's not okay is lacking principles. What's not okay is being selfish and doing things only for your own personal gain to the detriment of other people. Leader, and you're dating, whether you're just dating a girl, whether you're in a relationship, right? As the benevolent leader who holds frame, you want to be the person to lead this the right way. And you want to promote integrity and openness in your relationships. Understanding, of course, that, people are going to, including your girlfriend, including you, are going to maybe use language that just in describing something to somebody, for example, that may not be completely accurate. You know what I mean? And we could constitute that as being dishonest or lying or whatever. But that doesn't mean you lack integrity when that happens. And so I have different definitions of integrity. And, integrity from the book definition, the dictionary, is the quality of being honest and having moral principles. All right. And then number two part of that is a state of being whole or undivided, which, let's say keeping the integrity of, this, I don't know, this machine or this object. I'm not taking it apart, right? The dual definition there, the thing of being undivided, I find that really interesting. I find that as an important, integral part, actually, of having integrity in your life. See, I kind of developed a definition that may be more of use and more helpful. And so integrity is to be undivided in sound moral principles, to include the principle of telling the truth and to aim to behave on those principles. This includes correcting words and behaviors when mistakes are made and behaviors or words are divided from your principles. So integrity really can be looked at as having principles, right? And so you have principles that you're going by, and you want to be honest and tell the truth and aim to do that as often as possible, fitting with your principles. And that means that you're not divided, meaning you're not leading dual lives. You're not behaving one way and then having a principle, or a belief or a value that's different than the way you're behaving. That to me is what integrity is having everything be in a state of being undivided or congruent, So there's congruence with your words and your behaviors, your actions, and your morals and your beliefs and your values. That is what integrity is, not whether or not you embellished a story once or twice in your lifetime, or whether or not you omitted something once or twice in your lifetime, or whatever. This is really important to understand, because if we assume that anybody who's ever told one of the three types of lies, right, which is commission, omission, influence, if anyone who's ever told something that's a lie is a dishonest person, or if we want to label people as being dishonest for mistakes, right, and maybe saying something, lacking integrity or principle in certain times of their life, if you want to put labels on it, you have no standards now. If you're going to use these labels, you have zero standards for yourself. You have zero standards for your partner. It's all going to be based on what you're paying attention to then. When your girlfriend smells nice and looks cute and, touched your wiener recently and, is being pleasant to you, she's going to be honest and truthful and with integrity in your mind, because you've pedestalized her at that point. And when she tells you a story that you might know is some things are being omitted, some things are not true, you're going to overlook that and see her as this great person. But when you're not feeling good and you're feeling a sense of threat, when you're feeling a sense of potential dread yourself or anxiety, all of a sudden you're going to pick through the words she said. You could look back at text messages or even look at incongruencies in behavior. You can start looking for all of these, all this evidence when your anxiety's up. When you go to do that, then all of a sudden she's a liar, she's a bad person. And now you're, losing, mental and emotional control. You're getting mad at her. You're having fights because she's not making you feel good right now. That's what it boils down to. So your truth and your integrity doesn't exist at that point. You are doing things based on whether you feel good or don't feel good. A lot of women do that. Your girlfriends are going to do that. right? They're going to have like, they're going to be see you as this person that they can trust when they feel good. And then when they don't feel good, all of a sudden they can't trust you now. And you could be somebody of highest integrity, can have a higher integrity than most people in the world. You could be her partner who's had the most amount of integrity, and she's still going to, if she gets enough dread, she can sort through your stuff, find little things of incongruencies, find little omissions, find something you said to a friend in your text that didn't quite match what you said to her, and all of a sudden you're a liar. A woman can always accuse you of being a liar. That's the gaslight. So when you have no standards, right, then you're not going to have standards in your frame for your relationship. You're not going to instill standards for her to look up to. You see, she won't have any values regarding integrity to look towards if you don't have them. So if you don't have this stuff sorted out in your mind, and then you're conveying that message through your behaviors and actions and how you interact with her, and when these topics come up, you can talk about them in a reasonable way, not using a bunch of safe world theories and ego protecting behavior. When you can do that, when you have that awareness, now you can actually have a relationship of integrity for yourself and for the other person, because her standards of what she sees as you having integrity is going to be based on how she feels.
Once there was a caveman named Grok who had eyes for the lovely Neela. Neela was the most beautiful cave woman in the tribe, with her sparkling eyes, infectious laughter, and fat booty. But Grok wasn't the only one smitten by her. All the Chads and Tyrones of the land wanted her too. He tried different ways to attract her, showing off his prowess with a spear, doing favors, bringing gifts, and even serenading her under the moonlit sky. But Neela never seemed to return his affections. She was always kind to Grok, but Grok was only 5'10", and Neela only had eyes for the 6-foot-tall Chads, or so he thought. Determined more than ever, Grok decided to do a pickup artist boot camp in a faraway land. He built up his confidence and learned how to talk to hundreds of cave Stacys, even winning the affection of a few. But when Grok came home to use his newfound skills on Neela, he could sense that same disinterest in her eyes. He could get average Stacys to want to bear his children, but could not win over Neela, or any cave woman as beautiful as she. The pickup artistes told Grok it's a numbers game, and that he had to sleep with thousands of drunk Stacys to get a beauty like Neela. Confused, Grok went to the secret societies of different color pills for advice, but all they could offer were different chants of, "Just next her, bro," and "She only bangs Chads," over and over again. If only I could learn real seduction skills to make Neela fall in love with me, Grok thought. Neela went on to live happily ever after, having babies with a man named Og. Og had secretly learned sexpionage skills. Og was 5'5". The problem with pickup courses today is that they rely on the numbers game. You talk to hundreds of girls, and finally, a chick wants to sleep with you. And usually these aren't the women of your dreams. Sexpionage is my new course that will train you how to actually seduce the women that you want. Not just get dates with women who you aren't that excited about. You will learn deep persuasion skills borrowed from the elite corners of the espionage world that will train you how to persuade anyone and how to seduce anyone, from the woman you just met to your wife or girlfriend. Enrollment opens April 22nd and closes on the 26th. Click the link and don't miss this opportunity. It's the only one you'll get this year.
A girl can always devalue you, and she can always devalue you based on the issue of honesty. This is why women will sit there. The framework now, the social framework is that men are not honest. Men are dishonest. Men always lie. That's the framework. And then you guys have that framework about women as if you're any better. Like, guys are like, well, women, they always lie. Cool. Because you tell the truth all the time. You don't, though. You don't. Right? Is the point. If you say you do, you're lying right there to yourself. So this lack of standard and not knowing how to reason this stuff out and where to place standards creates this issue of integrity and not having any. Okay. And not having frame with it and not enforcing it in your relationships, because you can't have integrity in your relationships if your standard is, well, just don't be lying to me. and don't ever tell lies. And if you tell lies, then you don't, if you ever do anything dishonest, well, you're a dishonest bad person. Like, that's just shaming language. There's no standard there, because if everyone lies, right, which including you, and the research shows that is the case, it's just that some lie more than others. Some have principles, some don't. Some have integrity, some don't. Okay, but it's like saying everybody speaks language. Like, everybody does it. Well, if everyone does it, then there is no standard. You see what I'm saying? So you have to have a standard, and you have to have something reasoned out within yourself for what the standard is. And then you have to behave with that standard, to be congruent with that standard. You can't expect, for example, like a girl to tell you the truth about, in the dating phase, a girl to tell you the truth about her, if she's dating anybody else, if she's banging anybody else. But meanwhile, you're seeing other people and you're not, you're lying about that. Right. And I'm not saying there has to be equal, standards in that case of like, well, does she see somebody else and do you see somebody else? I'm not saying there has to be like this relationship equality thing, because that doesn't exist either. Say something, I guess, as a relationship principle or universal principle, and say it as if it's something you should follow, and then you don't follow it. You see what I'm saying? And most of you got like, oh, I should be able to look through my girl's phone anytime I want, but she can't look through your phone. Like, again, it's not that there's equality is necessarily. You can have a different standard for a man, a different standard for a woman in a relationship, but why is that standard particularly different? You know what I'm saying? So like, and usually it's because the guy is not having principles and integrity for himself, and then he's imposing principles and standards on the woman because it makes him feel a certain way. You want to feel better and feel safer, so you're going to impose some sort of standards on some chick, but then you want to impose standards on yourself. And so there's a lot of hypocrisy going on with guys, a lot of dudes out there, men and women, really. It's this hypocrisy. It's not behaving within standards that you're willing to follow. And so if you don't have an understanding of the difference between integrity and general dishonesty that happens kind of on an everyday, then you're not going to make the differentiation between we'll say a lie or being dishonest of something of consequence versus of something of no consequence. Like if my girl's telling a story and she embellishes a detail here or there, and those details are of no consequence, I'm not going to pick apart her story and call her a liar. And if a woman tries to do that to me, I'm not going to allow her to get away with that. I'm not going to allow her to typecast me as a liar or dishonest person or this and that, unless even if I, or you, if I do the wrong thing and tell a lie, that's called making a mistake. And you can own that mistake and recognize that it's not within your standards and improve from that. Not be shamed into being this lying, horrible person forever, which now your relationship partner gets to have unending power over you because you were dishonest at some point. That's a really important point. Like, let's say a guy is, because I've had these questions, guy, he's, flirts around with some girl, or, he does some stuff he's not supposed to do, and it's not fitting within the principles and standards that he set within his own relationships. Let's say he's talking to girls online or whatever, being inappropriate. All right. Let's say that's what's going on. Let's say he gets caught. Don't allow yourself to get shamed into, I'm a horrible person who, is, doomed forever to, I can't be trusted forever now. No, that's not true. Okay. You're somebody who did something dishonest, made a mistake. You didn't behave within your principles, and you did not behave within integrity for yourself by your own standards. And that is something that can be fixed. It needs to be fixed. That is something that, amends need to be made. Trust needs to be rebuilt, but trust can be rebuilt. It's not something that is a permanent state of affairs. There are people out there who, have done things, and all of you guys. And see, if you ever worked in the intelligence community or any of that kind of stuff, worked in law enforcement, some of you guys, a lot of law enforcement guys get a real skewed, bad view of the world. They can get into really dark places because they feel like everyone's a liar. Well, because everybody is a liar. And so that throws off their safe world theory. Most of you guys get to operate in the world believing that you're being told the truth all the time. You know, most of you guys think you're being told the truth all the time, but you're not being told the truth a lot of the times. And that includes by your closest partners sometimes. So, that's a scary place to be for a lot of people. That really causes people to dig their heels in and to get upset and to get angry. Me saying that, there will be people out there that will make assumptions about me. Well, I'm just saying that because I'm a terrible person. I must be this person who's a liar and a cheat and a scammer or something. I must be this bad person for saying that. Like, again, back to safe world stuff. I have to put things in two categories because I'm not smart enough to realize that things exist on a continuum, right? Things exist on a scale. Don't do that. So the real red pilling is recognizing that people don't tell the truth. And you know what? That's okay because part of the human condition. What's not okay, though, is lacking integrity. What's not okay is lacking principles. What's not okay is being selfish and doing things only for your own personal gain to the detriment of other people. These things are not okay. Okay. But whether the truth is being told or not, or something's being omitted or skewed a little bit or whatever, that's part of what happens. And when you understand that and you know that, then you can deal with it. Okay. So now the question is, are you going to pick apart every little detail of anything she says to try to make her out to be a bad person whenever you don't feel a certain type of way? That's called toxic behavior. If you do that, that's you being a devaluing toxic person. You're being a critical, contemptuous person to your partner. And also